Members, Mr. President and members, this bill, the reason that I wanted the comments in writing is because it's not so much what's in the bill, in black and white, because I trust the intentions and the motives of Senator Perry and my colleagues. We all want to have Texas be a safer state. We all want to have secure borders. We all want to have criminals behind bars and serious criminals deported. But this bill will cause people who aren't criminals to be afraid. And if you don't believe me, let me share a brief story with you. My mom and dad met in the Valley. My dad worked in McAllen. My mom worked in San Juan in a clinic and a hospital. And they got married, and their first home was in Mission, Texas. Little bitty home, and Dad was out painting his home in his, blue jeans and t-shirt. And I don't know. I cannot tell you with certainty, so I'm not going to make up. If it was Border Patrol who drove up, or if it was a local sheriff, a police officer, I can't tell you. All I know is someone came up to my dad and asked him if he had his papers, if he could have proof that he was here legally. My dad left his country at the age of 37 with a fourth grade education, didn't speak English, couldn't communicate. My mom says that if she hadn't come out with a glass of lemonade, she wouldn't have caught him getting put into the back of a car in handcuffs. Fortunately, my dad's not here to see this and hear this, but my mom is, and we've talked about her. And the reason I bring her up is because she's just representative of so many immigrants. She's just an example. So when I hear Senator Uresti talk about his siblings and talk about his fear and his concerns for his children and the rest of his family, this isn't us trying to invoke fear. This is a fear that already exists. This isn't us fanning a flame. This is something that people feel today. And my concern is that we shouldn't have people afraid to go to the grocery store, to be pulled over and be deported. We should remember that Texas and this country was made great by the hard work of so many people who've come here from other places on the backs of their work. I also have to agree that our chiefs of police would not be speaking out against this bill if they felt this bill would help them do their job. They feel that it does the opposite. Chief Menéndez said that his officers would require more training. He said that it would mean less time on the streets if they were spending more time investigations of. And the problem is that even though the great majority won't be asking, yesterday we had a sheriff of Rockwall County in our nation's capital complaining about a bill that wouldn't allow him to keep assets unless there was a conviction. It's that mentality that concerns me. The mentality that says they know better and that well-meaning legislation is wrong. And even though we put in the bill that you can't racially profile, I believe this bill eliminates the checks and the balances because the officer can ignore his or her assigned duty simply because he's decided that enforcing immigration law is more important. This is why our chiefs feel this will erode the trust in their community. The trust that they know helps them do their job and keep our communities safe. This is why, regardless of any provision put in the bill, it will discourage immigrants from reporting crimes, particularly if they're undocumented. This bill could have the potential to tie the hands of police chiefs and sheriffs, preventing them from requiring their officers to focus on local enforcement priorities. The bill has two parts, and you mentioned it in the committee hearing. The detainer portion and the allowing law enforcement to ask about immigration status, or preventing a department from preventing their officers from doing that. Let me be clear. It does not change what they can ask or not. We've heard a lot of good reasons why to vote against this bill. And I'm not about to try to lecture anyone. But I do feel, members, that this bill goes counter to what so many of us believe in terms of family values. There's a better way to do what we're trying to do, and unfortunately, Senate Bill 4 does not do that. Thank you, members. Thank you, Mr. President.